Cthulhu and Dungeons & Dragons have had a very complex history. GameMasters here, and the short version is, back when TSR ran the show, they used some H.P. Lovecraft intellectual property in their Deities and Demigods supplement. And they actually got permission from the copyright holder, Arkham House, but at the same time, another company, Chaosium, also had the rights to use parts of the Cthulhu mythos. The story goes that Chaosium sent a cease and desist against TSR to stop them from using Cthulhu and the related mythos, but that they all ultimately struck a deal. But by the third printing of Deities and Demigods, mentions of Cthulhu would be removed. The core theory is that TSR really didn't want those elements to drive players to an alternate game company's product. History aside, we continue to have mentions of Cthulhu even in 5th edition, as well as heavy influences of Lovecraftian-style monsters, and I'm talking aberrations and eldritch horror specifically. Even Phandelver's Shattered Obelisk adventure had we'll call it a heavy peppering of these eldritch horrors. Fast forward a bit to the 2014 Player's Handbook from 2nd edition, and we are given the Warlock Subclass, the Great Old One. Fast forward to 2024's Player Handbook, and we get the Great Old One Subclass for Warlocks in that one as well. But the two have some slight differences. Today, we are going to dive deep into those differences, but also explore the similarities. And towards the end of all of this, I've got a question for you. Choosing the Great Old One as a Warlock subclass in either edition is giving yourself, it's binding yourself to a patron that originates from the far realm, or possibly even an older god. It is very clear to state that that patron may not even be aware of you, but because of your devotion to the patron, you've unlocked certain secrets that in turn let you draw your magic from that patron. In 2014, upon taking the Great Old One subclass, you were granted access to an expanded spell list. This was a list of spells that you could get access to in addition to your core Warlock spells. And you got this access at level 1. In 2024, they shifted this access to level 3. Taking a look at the spell list from 2014's Great Old One, and you got 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th spell level spells, whereas the spell list in 2024 is all based on the Warlock's level as to when they get access to those spells. You can also see that what 2014 got as their first batch was limited to 2 spells, Dissonant Whispers and Tasha's Hideous Laughter, whereas 2024's first batch also includes Detect Thoughts and Phantasmal Force, which was granted in 2014's 2nd spell level. Clairvoyance and Telekinesis are the only other 2 spells that these two lists share, with 2024 replacing the spell Sending, Dominate Beast, Evard's Black Tentacles, and Dominate Person with Hunger of Hadar, Confusion, Summon Aberration, and Modify Memory. Now, adding Hunger of Hadar, I get that, but I'm saddened by the removal of Evard's Black Tentacles, which really what it did, it caused massive tentacles to erupt up from the ground, making it and turning it rather into difficult terrain, but also causing bludgeoning damage. And to me, it was just a fun visual of a spell that tied directly to a Cthulhu-esque vibe. Further changes from 2014 to 2024's Great Old One. At level 1 in 2014, you got access to an ability called Awakened Mind, which allows you to touch the minds of another creature that is within 30 feet of you and speak to them telepathically. The 2024 version gives this to you at level 3, but it adds that while initially that creature must be within 30 feet, that it can extend out for several miles, which is calculated based on your charisma modifier. So if you have a charisma of 18, that would give you a +4, you'd be able to telepathically speak to that creature up to 4 miles away. Additionally, in 2024, you also got at level 3 an ability called Psychic Spells, where when you cast a spell as a warlock that does damage, you can change that damage type to Psychic. Plus, if you're casting an enchantment or illusion, they don't require the verbal or semantic components. I think that's cool. 2014 gave you Entropic Ward at level 6, which would teach you to magically ward yourself against attack, but also allows you to turn an enemy's failed attack into good luck for yourself. Essentially, your enemy got disadvantage on that roll, and you would gain advantage. 2024 grants the same thing at level 6, however, it's been renamed to Clairvoyant Combatant. Hitting level 10 with the 2014 version, and you get Thought Shield. Now, this basically protects your mind, and others can't enter or invade your mind unless you allow it. It also grants resistance to psychic damage, but when something does dish out psychic damage to you, that something is going to take the exact same amount as it just dished out to you. 2024 gives this exact ability, but also at level 10 gives you something called Eldritch Hex, in which you always have the Hex spell prepared. Hex itself lets you put a curse on a creature, which then in turn lets you dish out an extra 1d6 necrotic damage when you hit with an attack roll. In addition, that creature also has disadvantage on its saving throws. At 14th level, back in 2014, you got Create Thrall. You simply invade the mind of a creature. You use your action to touch an incapacitated humanoid. They are then charmed, and you can communicate telepathically with that creature. The 2024 version also gives you Create Thrall at level 14, but it is wildly different. In the updated version, when you cast Summon Aberration, you summon forth a being that has a number of temporary hit points equal to your Warlock level plus your Charisma modifier, plus, should it smack down on a creature that has been hit previously by your Hex spell, it is going to dish out an extra psychic damage equal to the bonus damage of that spell. Warlocks have always been one of my go-to character classes, specifically because of their ability to summon undead, because I like zombies. But another element to it all, to kind of stay on topic, is meshing Warlocks with the patron of Cthulhu-type creatures, Eldritch Horrors. To me, that's just inviting. If you were to customize this subclass, what other spells would you give it? Would you take any of them away? Let's assume that we are concentrating on the 2024 version, this updated version. Browse over its Great Old One spells and see how you would customize it. Personally, I'd like to see Eldritch Blast included, perhaps even Eyebite. But let me know down in the comments what all changes you might make, and until next our paths cross, upon trying to communicate with a Great Old One, may you get the answers you're seeking. Well, I still think that the Warlock from 3rd edition, I think that one was superior.